welcome to TCS Consulting LLC. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am the CEO. Taking center stage and owning it with me is a woman who speaks after my own heart, Dr. Reid. TCS Consulting is all about leadership and organizational development. This month we are focusing on stress management. All work and no play? No way. Leaders, your health is your wealth. Taking center stage and owning it with me is my girl, Dr. Stephanie Reid is in the house. She is back again. We're talking about her biggest, movement, unclocking movement. And we left off a couple of shows ago. We left off talking about the importance of knowing who you are. We talked about the imposter syndrome and how do you overcome? How are we handling stress, setting boundaries, and unclocking from time to time? So Dr. Reid, talk to us, catch our audience up with unclocking the imposter syndrome. Talk to the audience and let's get reconnected. And if you haven't seen the last show, you need to go back and you need to look at the last show where we talk about this.
Yeah. So this is exciting. And I think a good place to start is for the audience to understand how I got to this moment of understanding the unclocking experience. But before I do that, I'll tell you that there are 4 phases of a woman's life. There is, you writing this down, everybody? There is the maiden phase. That's the young woman. In, late adolescence, early 20s, and that young woman phase lasts until you actually either lose your sense of innocence, meaning that you are made to grow up sooner than you need to, maybe taking care of younger siblings for whatever reason, or you actually give birth. Once you give birth or you step into the mother role, you are in the mother role. Challenge. The mother role is filled with a lot of self-sacrificing. You give beyond your capacity. You're thinking for other people, but you don't think for yourself. You're that kind of person who could give good advice to everybody else, but you can't follow your own advice, right? And there's a lot of betrayal in the mothering phase. There's a lot of cross boundaries. There's a lot of emotional inconsistencies and mental aberrations. And the reason that is because when you were in the mother phase, you probably didn't get a chance to discover who you were as a person before you had to put that search in your back pocket to move on to a phase that you probably wasn't ready for. And if you're not ready to be in the mother phase, then you go into survival, right? You go into that hiding, you will become a multitasker, and before you know it, you lose yourself. And we can be in that phase way beyond our mothering. So when I said unclocking, my idea of unclocking is by the time your children leave home, that's your time to regather and regroup what you didn't get earlier, right? So that means you cannot be a mother to your grandchildren, right? You can't. You have to allow your children to parent their own children, right?
And you shouldn't want to. You should not want to.
You shouldn't want to, right?
Yeah.
It's not at all. And so you get stuck in that mothering phase. And then the next phase should be the guardian phase. And the guardian phase is when you get to your middle age, and it should be, I know who I am. I can see the perspectives of different aspects of reality. I can set clear boundaries, but I can still love you and you can still respect me, right? Mm-hmm. But there is no sense of I'm a doormat, because what happens is as we get older in this phase of life, when when people are still disrespecting you and you're 45, 52, 51, that's because you're in the wrong phase. Because within that phase, all of that is where it happens. When that's cut off, you move into the guardian phase, and the guardian is the one who mentors the mother and the maiden, right? And then after the guardian, there is the crone. And the crone, I love the crone phase. To me, that reminds me of the lady in the front row of the pew of the church that's looking at you going, baby, I don't know nothing, but I know you're good. And it's going to be all right, because she's been there, done that. And she's so confident that you're going to be okay. The wisdom just pours out of her pores, right? Just being in her company, her giving you a hug sets your day. So
Ooh,
those
yeah.
are the 4 phases of a woman's life. But if you're not grounded in whatever phase you're in and you're out of phase or out of pocket, oh, you're going to be stressed out.
Mm.
Challenge with that, though, is a big challenge. If you believe that you're comfortable in the mothering phase and that's become your comfort zone with all of its problems, you will do things to perpetuate that. And I did that. At
Mm.
46 years old, I had a baby. My youngest at the time was 20. Why did I do that? That was a comfort zone for me. And I had a new husband, and I thought that's what was required to solidify a good marriage. Putting myself back into the mother role because that's what I thought was my most valued position in a relationship. So this gets a little bit deeper than just those 4 phases. It's like, why are we stuck in those phases? And
Yeah.
that's what I help women unpack.
Yeah, yeah. And you said the thing that's really, and it's all about it's all about all of it, right? And
Yeah.
so we get comfortable, right? We don't want to be stretched because it's the unknown. We're afraid of failure because there's such a stigma attached to failure.
Yeah.
We're afraid to break out of conformity because there's a stigma attached to that. Or even when you try to break out, they pull you back in. If your people, your circle, who your network is in, your inner circle, your girls, whoever it is, they pull you back in because one is not only they don't want you to go out there, but if you go out there, now you set a standard for they got to do it, or they feel convicted when you do that. And so, but the thing about it is that when you don't go out there, you not only suffer, but everyone that
Around
would
you.
look to you, that would connect to you, that are assigned to you in your crone stage, that you were supposed to mother, that you were supposed to mentor, that you were supposed to encourage from your place of groundedness.
Right.
They don't get that.
Right.
And so we have to understand that we're all a part of this system, and we're all an integral part of the system that is required for the system to grow the way that it's meant to grow. And then all of these other things come out of whack. You said something that was critical, and it had my mind going about when you talked about grandmothers. Mothers should not mother their grandchildren. They shouldn't even have a desire to do that. I remember one of the biggest things was my granddaughter one day said to me, "You're my mom." And so I said, now she knows that my daughter, and this is when she must have been like 6 or 7 years old. She knows that her mother is her mother, but what she connected to was the power and authority from which I spoke that differentiated me from how her mother spoke to her. And so in her mind, she was like, "You are the authoritarian. Mom has authority, but you are the authoritarian. You speak from security and knowing and power." And but I had to make sure that she understood clearly, that's your mom. I don't need to have that position. I am satisfied in the position that I am, and I don't need to have that. We need to do that across the board. So we're looking at this as a mom and a grandmother and a grandchild, but this is you as a leader. As leaders, we have to be able to allow ourselves to grow and stretch too, in the work environment as well as in the home environment and in other environments by which we show up. Because when we don't show up, the hierarchy, everything under that order falls apart. We have to have these phases. We have to go through these phases, even when it feels uncomfortable for us. And remember, it's like with any other job, and I always use this analogy. It's like, it's any job that you've ever been on. When you first start, you don't know who's who, right? So when you join a company, you don't know who's who, right? No care who's who. But when you stay on the job long enough, you're able to do your job like this, right? You know everybody, your go-to people. You establish your go-to people. You know the org chart, right? You know who's who, what office is doing what. We know the company's culture and how things are done. But that comes over time, and it comes showing up committed to even when things feel a little wacky and you need that paycheck. You have to think about your next level. You have to
Yeah.
think about your next phase, and you have to think about it from a capacity of I need that. I need that mindset. I need that skill set. I need that capacity. I need that stretching, that training, that uncomfortableness so that I can be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because the cost is a lack of fulfillment. The cost is mental health, dysfunction, trauma. What you said too, also in this, was you stay in that sense of comfort because it is a safe place. But the whole world is missing out on your gifting and your talents by staying in that, even though it's like a double-edged sword, even though the world is why you stay in that comfort zone, it's still the world that still needs you to show up, right?
Yes.
The world
Yes.
still needs you, even your friends and your family. I was listening to TD Jakes earlier, and he said, when you are unknown, people have a disregard for you. But the minute the world begins to recognize you, those at home that dismissed you start to pay very close
Yes.
attention.
Attention.
So why would you not get connected with Dr. Reid, help her to show you how to stop staying in your comfort zone, get a little uncomfortable for a little while?
Yeah.
Because with each phase, it's only temporary. Everything you're going to keep moving. This is a movement.
Yeah.
You're moving. You're going to keep moving. Talk about your talk about what's next. So we talked about becoming aware of one, the imposter syndrome, and you got to see the other show because we really talk about the imposter syndrome. And
Yeah.
then two, getting unclocked, understanding your boundaries, knowing what
Mhm.
phase you are and why it's important for and what you need to do to go to the next phase, and why it's important for you to do that. You have some online courses. I know you have some coaching programs that are available.
Yeah.
Talk to the audience about that.
Yeah. Well, the reason why it's important to just acknowledge that there is a space in your life that you're uncomfortable is because you're uncomfortable, right? You're overwhelmed, you're panicking, you feel guilty, you're having this emotional, spiritual, mental, and now physical tug of war of where you are and where you would like to be, right? The problem is you don't know what you don't know. And if you allow yourself to be stuck in your own ways, saying, well, I know this, I know that, if that was the case, you probably wouldn't be watching this broadcast, right? There is something that you don't know. So here's the thing, there's a knowledge gap between where you are and what you'd like to be, do, and have. The only way to get from A to B is a new system of thinking, a new structure of understanding, and a change of perspective. And if you don't have that already in place, then the method that you have is not working. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge that where I am right now, and it's not working for me. And if you acknowledge that, that's your first step to saying, okay, if it's not working, that means I need something. But I don't know what I need.
Right.
The easiest way to figure that out is to have a strategy session with me so we can figure out what the problem is.
Yeah.
When we figure out what the problem is just by a simple conversation, then we can employ the right medicine for your issue.
Right.
And when I say medicine as a doctor of naturopathic medicine and a coach, I'm not talking about something that you would pop a pill. I'm talking about the emotionality, right? I'm talking about, are you stuck in frustration because of blah? Are you stuck in guilt? Are you stuck in anxiety? Are you stuck in imposter syndrome? Are you stuck in shame? Where are you? Because that is what requires the fix,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can't give you or help you figure out what your next phase in life is until we figure out what the problem is. And that is the first thing that's creating this dysfunction is we don't really know what the problem is, right? So we keep throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something will stick.
Right.
So let's just stop guessing and just figure out the problem. which is very easy. We can figure that out in about 35 minutes. And after that, you have options of either coaching with me one-on-one and or taking an online course and or reading my books, because at least you'll have a structure. However, I caution you, if you're in this really uncomfortable place, if you read a book, it's not going to help you long term, because you're still bringing to you the mindset of what you're reading, and you can't expand beyond what the author's trying to tell you. You need someone to hold your hand. Just like you were holding your grandchild's hand, your children's hand, your coworker's hand, it's your turn to let somebody hold your hand. How do you do that? Trust that you're worthy of that level of accountability and that level of concern, and step into it, right? And that's what I offer. I offer an opportunity for you to have somebody hold your hand, allow you to see what your blind spots are, give you a structure and a plan of action so you can move off and live into the sunset for the rest of your life. Because until you do that, you only have you, and with you is always that betrayal, that stuck. It's that lack of boundaries. It's that. You can't read enough books to fix this problem. You can't join enough meetups. Cool thing about meetups, I love meeting new people, but if you're meeting with people who have the same problem that you have, you're creating trauma bonds, not friendships.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. You need somebody to be on the other side of that door to go, okay, this is where these problems are. And what makes me so qualified, I'll tell you. Unfortunately, but fortunately, I've experienced so much trauma in my life, I can identify with what your reason is. Not from oh, that's so sad, but from an experiential thing, right? I've had a child die. I've had murder in my family. I've had, questionable childhood experiences. All the stuff that go bump in the night, failed relationships. So I am qualified experientially to bring you to this level of understanding of, oh, this is what I could do. Mm-hmm. Right? So you're not speaking with someone who doesn't understand. Been there, done that, moved on. Yeah. And I want to help you move on.
And that's the difference between a trained practitioner and someone who's a trained practitioner, but also experienced.
Yes.
And that's the difference, because a trained practitioner, if they have not experienced, they only know theory and practice. They don't necessarily know real life direct application of the methodology or the approach. And I always echo to that, because I had one of my professors say to me, you don't speak scholarly enough. And no, I don't speak in a language that the reader can't comprehend. That's what I won't do. Because when I want you to be able to walk away empowered with full understanding of how to take what you just read and apply it to your life. That's the difference. And so that's the difference between someone who is talking to you from first-hand experience, that transformation is possible. It's possible as to how what we do in IO psychology. We look at training ready. Are you open for training? Are you open to be coached? And that's a part of the assessment process. The assessment process is designed to identify where your target areas are. Where are your trigger areas? What is the root and cause of what you need to be here for? But it's also there to see is, how open are you? How ready are you for transformation? And that's the big key, because not too many people are ready to be transformed. They're seeking, but they're not willing. And there's a difference between seeking and willing. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be committed to doing the things that are going to be taught to you, the training and the coaching that you're going to be, experiencing. You have to apply it, and it's going to take courage. But what you were saying, earlier throughout, when you're at this point, it's time for growth, and growth is not comfortable. Anything that you want to do is not going to always be pretty. Transformation is not pretty. However, it's beautiful in its completion, right? In its metamorphosis, it is beautiful. The outcome is beautiful. and it feels so good. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization, honey, is heavenly. You don't feel confound to anyone and anything other than what is true to thy own self. To thy own self be true. You offer such an amazing, you know, just like you said, like-mindedness, is attracted to like-mindedness in a healthy sense, in the sense that your approach is about self-awareness. Self-awareness should, and I say the word should because it is in our hands, should lead to self-development, and self-development will ultimately lead you to self-mastery, and not mastery about being perfect, but being well balanced and knowing who you are, what you're made of, and how to navigate through this thing called life. And so I want to share with you, Dr. Stephanie, tell the people how they can work with you. Like, tell them how they can connect with you, how they can follow you, where you are, what you're doing, the different programs and different things that you offer. You know, share with the folks how they can connect with you.
Before I share with how to connect to me, let me first say that this is serious work and I'm serious about this. So if you're not serious, don't reach out to me. If you're not ready, don't waste your time, right? Because I am not the solution for everyone, but when someone connects with me, I am the solution and I can guarantee results because there's a system and a structure. So that's the first thing. I'm not the cheapest coach that you would find, but I'm the best coach you can find because I've been doing this work for now almost 20 years, right? And so when I say that, when I invite you to engage with me, I am serious. I come with my full armor on to give you what you need, right? So you have to be ready. So if you do decide to go to my website, drstephanieyhp.com, or Your Healing Place, then at the top of my website, there is a link for you to download an ebook. And within that ebook, you get an opportunity to book a free strategy session with me that will last for 60 minutes. But before you even get an opportunity to give me your demographics, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Be honest about those questions. One of those questions is, are you coachable? Are you ready to invest in your own development? Are you ready to step into your purpose to live the best life you can live after 40 or whatever age? If you answer those questions successfully, then you and I should be working together at the end of that call, period. Because if you took the opportunity to do that, that means you need help. I've already identified, and you've identified that I am the person that you would trust to help you because I have experiential knowledge as well as the clinical knowledge. Then what are we waiting for? So I'm not playing with you. So this is serious business. If you're not ready, don't even bother. But if you are ready, I know that you and I are going to work together within the next week because I do have some spaces available. So how do you find me? If you want to take the leap of faith and call me, my office number is 443-486-3866. That's if you're really serious, because I will pick up the phone. If you're just playing around, you still can't get access to me unless you authentically answer those questions. And if you do that, then I know you're ready for work and you're ready to get started. I have a very limited space to work with clients. There's an online coaching program, and also for my high-level clients, there's one-on-one experiences. drstephanieyhp.com or yourhealingplace.com. So Your Healing Place, YHP, is Dr. Stephanie, YHP. If you're serious about this, you got this the first time I said it, right? That's how you find me.
Yeah. And you have to be, because this is, we mean serious business. We eat, sleep, and drink what we do. Yep. We love it because guess what? We're in alignment with our assignment. We know that this is what we're called to do. We know that this is what we're purposed to do, and we rest in that. We rest in that, and we live what we speak. And that's the beautiful thing. And that's how you get rid of the imposter syndrome, is that you live what you speak, and you apply it in your life, whether it's difficult or not, because you are worth it. We are worth being our true, authentic self. When we show up like that, we are beautiful inside and out. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a total pleasure. And like I always tell the gentlemen, listen, you know a woman out there that can use this information, please share it with her because she needs to know we're out here and that we want her best. We want her to take center stage and own it in her life, her career, and her business, and all that she sets her hands out to do. We want to see her truly succeed and be happy from within. And so, with that being said, we're out of here. Take care. Blessed week.